Welcome. Thank you for coming to the meeting. Can we please start? Rise with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, can we please have a motion to move out of executive session? By Jan, second by Mike. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. And in reviewing the agenda, are there any changes to our agenda for this evening? Thank you. Can we have a motion to accept the agenda as is?
So moved.
And second by Maria. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. And on to visitor speaking time. Our policy, the Board of Education invites the public to comment on matters regarding the school district. The public comment section of the meeting is a time for the Board of Education to listen. As a courtesy, we ask that you limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Comments naming specific personnel should be addressed privately or in writing to the board in order to protect individuals' rights. And matters that would infringe upon student privacy will not be addressed in this public forum. With that being said, is there anyone present who would like to address the board?
Go ahead.
Can you please come? Thank you. You
You can go right up to
please
that
come right up to the table.
microphone. State your name.
And if you would, share your name and address, please.
And do I have 3 minutes or 5 minutes?
3 minutes, please.
They told me I have 5 on the phone, so I timed myself.
Take your-
Okay.
My name is Bethany
Okay.
Morgalski, 262 Birch Lane. My husband and I have 3 kids that attend DeWitt Road Elementary School, and I brought a paper to read because this is my first time. So 2 of our children are currently attending DeWitt Road Elementary School, and our third started her first year of pre-K in September. First, I wanted to say thank you for your diligence in seeking solutions for the mental health crisis that has flooded our high schools. I thank you for that. Thank you for the hours that you have poured into exploring ways to further support our kids, including giving them extra time to sleep. However, in the efforts to help our secondary students, we are setting up our youngest students for failure. And thank you in advance for hearing me out, because I know that's not an easy thing to hear, nor is it easy for me to say. When I met with Mr. Gumina, along with a couple other parents a few weeks ago, we discussed several ways the shift in school start times would affect our kids and district families. I will defer to our other concerned parents to discuss the financial impact of our local families. My main concerns are that we are not leaving time for all children to get adequate sleep, as well as sufficient family time. And I emphasize all children, as during our meeting with Gumina, we discussed the average child's need for sleep. I'm here to tell you I have 2 children of my own that required between 11 and 12 hours of sleep each day when they were 5 to 6 years old. Even Golisano Children's Hospital recommends 6-year-olds get between 10 and 11 hours of sleep each day. And quoting from their 6-year NICU follow-up program newsletter in the section referring to sleep, which came in the mail last week. A child is getting enough sleep when they fall asleep easily at night, less than 20 minutes, and awaken easily at his or her normal wake time. 6-year-olds need 10 to 11 hours of sleep a day, and even a small amount of sleep loss can have a big effect on children's cognition and behavior. That is a concern to me. When my oldest was enrolled in private school not too long ago, we saw the effects of an early bus schedule directly. He was difficult to rise in the morning, slow to get himself ready for the day, and often skipped breakfast due to either his stomach not being awake enough to eat or there being too little time before the bus would arrive. And you will ask me, why didn't we send him to bed an hour earlier? And that seems an obvious solution to an earlier bus time. Isn't that not right? Except that would mean we would have been sending our child to bed between 6 and 6:30 p.m. Yes, allowing him his required 12 hours of sleep, but often eliminating time with his dad, who comes in from work at 5:30 on a good day, and tonight he came home at 6:10. 20 minutes of time we would have. That leads me to my second point. Family time is of utmost importance, especially during the younger years. According to the Child Development Institute and their article on the importance of family time on kids' mental health, one simple truth is often overlooked. Children from birth to adulthood need time and attention from their parents. Sometimes parents become so anxious to raise a successful child that they overlook the importance of spending time interacting personally with their child or children. This does not mean rushing from school to extracurricular activity to supervising homework. Interactive time is that spent with both child and parent fully engaged in an activity together. The importance of this time is multifold. Number 1, the child feels important and loved. Number 2, he or she has an opportunity to model parents' behavior. 3, the parent can observe and learn about the child's strengths and weaknesses in order to better guide them. 4, the child has a chance to voice their thoughts and feelings. 5, the parent and child develop a stronger bond. For those of you on the board who have raised your own children, you know how valuable those unrushed minutes are. My request to you is to support all members of your student body. Let our young ones sleep. Getting our youngest children on the bus, fully dressed, fed, and ready for the day requires more time and energy from parents, especially during those important years where we need to be fully in tune with their development physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, as well as developing socially and academically. As the mother of a child with unique challenges of his own, we need all the time we can get. Thank you.
Thanks, Bethany.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, do we have any students here that wish to address the board? Our student liaisons? Yes, oh, sorry, there's Stacy.
Hello.
Sandy, you wanna go?
Hi, please come on up and take your seat and find your name. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It is great to see all of you again. And for those of you who do not know me, I am Sam Stacy, and I'm a junior at Thomas, graciously floundering as I start to look at colleges. So I hope you all had a great, spooky Halloween and ate some delicious candy. I know I sure did. And now it's November, so Mr. Gamina, you know what that means. It's time to look out for that snow day bobcat.
Sam.
Already? Oh, no.
Listen, it's happened before. It's happened before.
2 years ago.
Anyway, this past month, Thomas sports were finishing up their fall seasons. Our amazing Thomas cheerleaders won the sectional title Saturday. They had a near flawless performance, and the title was well deserved. Coach Michelle Byam was also named Coach of the Year. The cross-country teams competed in counties last weekend. The girls placed 4th at the county championships, while the boys were 9th. Catherine Peterson, Molly O'Brien, Leah Kowalski, Haley Brennan, and Austin Schoen were first team All-County, and they will compete in the sectionals at Mid-Lakes this coming weekend. Our Webster girls varsity swim team competed in Class A sectionals last night at Webster Aquatic Center. They had 4 qualifiers for states in a variety of events: Allison Brocolo, Lauren Schreiner, Suzanne Sokolowski, and Dana Whitty. Finals are on Saturday. And all in all, this fall season has been pretty great, a great one for Thomas Athletics and all around. And we're excited to get our winter season started with all those snow sports.
Thank you, Sam.
I'm still going. In other news, the Webster Marching Band competed at states in the Carrier Dome, obtaining the highest score of their season. Today was also a big day for seniors, as today was the deadline for early decision applications, while the rest of us scrambled to secure our grades and continue working as the marking period ends on the 7th. And so that's all for Thomas for this month, and don't forget to change your clocks back this weekend. Also, there are only 54 days until the holidays, not like I'm counting or anything. So have a fantastic evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Hi, I'm Lillian Privatera. I'm a junior at Schrader. A couple weeks ago was homecoming. Our pep rally was outdoors for the first time ever. The clouds didn't stop the school or the seniors from having a great spirit week. We had many victories that week from our sports teams, and we also had about 500 students attend our homecoming dance, which is nearly 1/3 of our student body. Also during homecoming week, the senior class had a fundraiser selling stuffed bears organized by Trevor Pashalitas, donating $565 to the Breast Cancer Coalition of Rochester. On October 18th, we hosted nearly 515 senior citizens of Webster for the annual Senior Citizen Day Luncheon. They were entertained by several musical groups and were able to have an early Thanksgiving lunch. About 50 of our students assisted in helping throughout the day, including serving the lunch. The marching band also had a performance last weekend in the state competition in Syracuse at the Dome. They finished a strong 8th place. On Halloween, our physics classes had their annual pumpkin launch. This year's winning pumpkin flew over 92 feet. And our newcomer Warrior Club is going really well. We met with our group today, and the vibe is that this club helps them feel welcome and connected. We will continue to spend time getting to know them and helping them feeling connected and a part of Webster. Finally, Mrs. Burgess's class collected over 200 pairs of new socks to send to the Socks for Sandwich and the Open Door mission.
Additionally, Catherine Gamble, Stephanie Romero, and Alexa Monrad all participated in the New York State Girls Tennis Tournament in Latham, New York this past weekend. All three young ladies represented Webster Schrader and Section 5 extremely well. In fact, Stephanie and Alexa were given sportsmanship pins by one of the tournament officials for their fair play and kindness during one of their matches. In addition, Alexa was the Section 5 recipient of the New York State Girls Tennis Tournament Sportsmanship Award. This additional award is voted on by all the Section 5 participants. Our swimming and diving teams also competed in sectionals this past weekend and competed really well. The future is looking strong for them. Our girls varsity soccer team won the Class AA sectionals last Saturday. They won in the second overtime, top-seeded Penfield 1-0. They played this Saturday versus Section 6 powerhouse Clarence at Schrader at 3:30, and we hope to see you all there. The music department had their Prism concerts this last week, and basically what it is, all the performers are located around the auditorium, and the light shines like a prism in different areas, so it's a really great event that there was a lot of outcome at. And the musical Anything Goes has started, and the rehearsals are starting, and the performances are in early February. This Saturday, for speech and debate, we're hosting a tournament at Schrader. And finally, the senior class is looking forward to their senior trip to Boston this upcoming week. Thank you for your time. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Also, other liaison reports, WTA, I know Stacy's here from Webster Central PTSA, and Chris Wojcik.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Yeah, Stacy's ready.
She's, yeah.
Good evening.
Hi, Chris.
How are you, sir? Sue Bjarner was unable to make it this evening, so I'll be giving the WTA liaison report. The Webster Teachers Association participated in the breast cancer walk at Frontier Field on October 14th. Teachers and faculty from all the schools had participated, and we raised approximately $700 for that cause. The WTA was very enthusiastic about teachers teach teachers on Superintendent's Day earlier in October on the 5th. We are hoping we can continue this as we move forward next year as well. There seemed to be a lot of support to do this, and it's a great collaborative educational opportunity for all teachers. So it was a wonderful event. The Webster Teachers Association has also created a new committee called Webster Cares, and it's WTA Cares, and we will be working hopefully with a number of community-based organizations to further some needs, charities, et cetera, that we can help the community as well. And Mr. Gamina and I have started to visit schools together. We've done a couple so far, and we'll continue to do that up through the first of the year.
Thank you. Also, in response to a request we've heard from WTA a few times recently about inviting board members into the building so that we can be part of and see all the learning that's going on. And learning walks and a schedule has been created. And Linda and I have been to see Brian Zimmer in technology, and that was wonderful. We don't really get that kind of exposure and hands-on experience to everything that's going on, so we're looking forward to more of those visits, and we're filling up our schedule. So thank you very much for being here.
Anything else? Yeah.
The start time.
Yeah.
Okay. I was also asked to come this evening to address and talk about the school start time as we're moving forward into next year. And I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit because I wear a number of different hats here in the school district. The first and probably the most important as a parent. I have 2 children enrolled in schools here. My son is a 4th grader at Clem South, and my daughter is a 6th grader at Willink. And so as we move towards a different change in start time, I just wanted to kind of talk about those 2 things as a parent. Changing that start time to later in the day, every piece of research that we've talked about shows, from psychologists to doctors to sleep specialists, and having had both of my children deal with sleep issues over the past, I can tell that this is definitely going to be beneficial for them to sleep later into the day, especially my 4th grade son, who seems to be a sleeper. My daughter's always been an early riser. This will definitely be a change for her as we move forward, but my son, I can already tell that this will definitely benefit him as he reaches middle school. The second hat I want to kind of wear is as a teacher. I've been teaching at Webster for 22 years. Both at Schrader and at Thomas. I've taught juniors and seniors my entire career, and I've seen the effects of sleep deprivation on our juniors and seniors at the high school levels. Many of them come to school first block fatigued, tired, lethargic at times. You can see the sleepiness on their faces when they come to school, and I think most of those kids, most of our students usually don't start kind of revving up and becoming more alert and awakened until 2nd or even 3rd block at times. So for educators, they'll probably all agree with me, especially at the secondary level, that it's important to have a later start time. It's only going to benefit our kids in their performance inside the classroom and outside. I think it'll be beneficial. The third hat I want to wear is as the Webster Teachers Association president. And we've had conversations, the union and the administration, regarding the concern we've had over the years. My predecessor, Steve Terriano, had conversations with Mr. Gamina years ago about the science and the research, about supporting or at least looking into the notion of starting later. All the evidence suggests that it's going to benefit kids, especially with sleep patterns and how their bodies change as they get older into adulthood. There seems to be this window of time in adolescence that sleep cycles change. We've had ongoing conversations. Mr. Gamina, about a year and a half ago at this point, decided that he was going to have open forums to the community, start doing some research. Conversations were held across the district in numerous formats and forums. People were invited from the community to listen to some of these professionals talk, and to that could be one of our retired kids.
Oh.
I did not set that one up. That was pretty good. Talk about breaking the ice. So.
You typically hear that from your students anyway? Right?
Yeah, that's usually first block. That's usually first block. Early into my lecture, too, so. But, we've had this conversation about the benefits of this. And the union we've been behind this before. We've advocated for our kids to start later in the school day. The administration, Mr. Gamina, and the board has listened to our request over a period of time, and they've adapted that. I think this is going to be beneficial. There are concerns, and I understand that any time you have change in society, there's going to be concerns because most people don't like change. Will there be bumps in the road? Absolutely. But I think those bumps are going to be worth where we're driving this vehicle, where are we going to end up? And I think that if people have patience and understanding, that they will overcome this change, and it will be a beneficial one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And now, Stacy, would you like to join us? Yeah.
Colonel Sanders.
Thank you. And Stacy Peters and
Son Tanner.
Son Tanner with Trick or Treats, Webster Central PTSA.
KFC for Halloween. And I know Halloween was yesterday, but Allison and I wanted to just do something fun for you guys. Little treats to snack on. You're welcome. So sorry about the yawn, first of all. And obviously, it's nothing to do with you, Chris. He needs to be in bed. So PTSA, we are off to a great start this year. Our video is done. It's being shown. I'm sure everybody's seen it on social media. We wanted to thank Krista Gross. She was amazing in helping us getting it to all of the building principals for us. And thank you to Michael Ruler for making sure this is all set at the concerts. I can happily say I was at 2 Prism concerts already for my son, and it was shown both times. And it was exciting. It was great to see, and I hope, I don't know, I just hope we get some good feedback, and we'll see what happens with it. Allison and I are making our rounds to all the 11 PTSA meetings at all the 11 buildings. I think we just have 2 left to go. So, and we're just really impressed with all the thoughts and ideas of the teams. We have brand new PTSA teams at Clem South, DeWitt, Schlegel, and Spry this year, and they're all doing fantastic so far, so we're pretty happy. Teachers Teach Teachers Day was a huge success, and we thank Carm and Melissa and Linda Law were amazing in helping us get this promoted, and we sold 60 memberships that day, so we were so excited. And maybe the cowbell helped a little bit too, I don't know, but but that was just for fun. So yeah, so that was great, and I'm happy to announce our number today is 1,203 memberships is where we're at for PTSA.
That's a lot.
So, yep. So yes, yep. So we're really excited about that, and we're thrilled. Let's see, we drew our second prize winner today for the 1-year membership to the Aquatic Center, and we have one more prize drawing that will be December 1st for a year-long membership to the YMCA. So whoever still hasn't bought it or has already bought it, your name still is in that drawing. Yes. Let's see, swag. I don't know if you all remember this from last year when we do it in May, the students with an attitude of gratitude. So this is our 3rd year of doing it, and our communication person has been putting some of these comments that the kids have made about teachers on the Webster Central Facebook page. So of course the teachers get these messages privately who it's from. On social media we are putting the student's name, but it's just nice to highlight the teachers, and you know, just an exciting thing to see because we have so many wonderful teachers in our district. Last thing I want to say is in light of the BOE, the School Recognition Week, last week, Tammy, Linda, Sue, Mike, Jan, Maria, and David. We want to thank, Allison and I want to thank all of you for everything you do, attending our PTSA meetings and just adding insight and keeping our families at the meetings informed. I know everyone really, truly appreciates all your efforts and everything you do for the Webster students. So that's it. Thank you very much. Hope you guys have a great night.
Thank you, Stacy. To
Stacy.
you and Allison and Tanner.
Thanks, Tanner.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
What do you say?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Thanks.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on to our instructional reports. Teachers Teach Teachers, FLIP, Professional Development. We have a wonderful presentation I know everybody is looking forward to.
All right, well, good evening, everyone, and again, happy Board of Education Week, and it's great to be able to present on, this must be your favorite topic, that's why we get to go on your week, so it's going to be great. So I want to start actually about 18 months ago. 18 months ago, when we saw the results of our strategic planning survey, so this is March of 2017's results. One of the indicators that we saw from those results had to do with professional learning in our district. And it was not where we wanted it to be as a strategic planning committee, and certainly as a board. And as an administration, we looked at this and said, we got to partner with our teachers, and we have to partner with our staff to really do whatever we can to flip professional learning on its head. And the first thing that we needed to do, and through retirements and whatnot, we put a new team together. And I am so excited tonight to introduce to you 3 members up here of the team. There's also a couple members that aren't here with us tonight. But this is Melissa Phillips, and she is the one who really makes that TTT day go. And you're going to hear more about that, and you've already heard about it a couple times tonight. It truly ends up being one of the best days of the year by far. We have Kate Hesla and Greg Alquist, and they are our 2 new instructional designers for our district. And we also, not with us tonight, is Erica Ebert, and she has been instrumental in our mentor training and induction program, which you're going to hear a little bit about. So the 4 different parts that you will hear about, like I just said, is our TTT, our teacher learning and professional learning in the district and where we're at with that, and also our mentoring and induction. And now this school year, we've actually taken and said, this is the year that we're going to really dive into that, and we're going to flip that on its head and have a whole new induction program. And Dave Swinson's been a big part of that team as well. And then we'll also talk a little bit about our administrative learning. So it's an exciting report that I'm now going to turn things over to Melissa to talk to us about that TTT.
So I'm so excited to talk to you a little bit about our 4th annual Teachers Teach Teachers, which happened on, thanks Peg, on October 5th.
Yes.
It's a real, she's been cued to do that, I didn't tell her. Which has been a celebration because it really started with an idea about 3.5 years ago where I walked into Carm's office and said, I have this kind of crazy idea and I just need you to trust me. And he said, go with it. And it's a day that has grown and morphed and changed. And this was our 4th annual, and preschool through 12th grade teachers joined us. We had 135 Webster teachers and administrators that presented our 127 offerings that we shared this year. They offered sessions on questioning techniques, engagement strategies, and deepening our understanding of learner agency. We also invited several outside agencies that came and spoke to our community around things such as parent engagement, mental health, supporting English as next language learners. New this year, we also included our student teachers, our substitute teachers, and our teaching assistants. They joined us for the morning portion of the day that they signed up for. And then in the afternoon, they had an opportunity to have more of a question and answer time where they could talk to district staff around questions that they were wondering about and ways that we could help support them in the current roles that they're in our system. We also had a great opportunity this year to include a lot of high school students. We had over 100 high school students that attended the day and presented alongside their teachers. And so that was an idea that really came out of a lot of our high school teachers and Corey Gomez that said, hey, I really would like to bring in our tech support and really talk to them about the things that they're learning about and know about within their day, and could they come and teach the teachers? And it was a really great celebration, and it was a cool opportunity for the elementary teachers to see kind of the success stories of our kids and learn alongside them, which was really great. In the in-between sessions and throughout the day, we focused a lot of effort around relationships. So throughout the buildings, there were chalk talk walls with questions around Webster, which made it fabulous, that they got to write on. And we also had a digital scavenger hunt called Goose Chase that teachers engaged in, that they got to kind of do some competitive play and just kind of fun-spirited. We had a keyword that Carm had to participate in. Brian had to get hugged a few times. But it was a fun way to have teachers. I know it was really hard for him. But it was a really fun way for new teachers to kind of get to know each other, and then people across buildings to break the ice and spend some time together. We also heard that PTSA joined us during our food truck lunch, and we sold over 60 memberships that day, which was a great celebration. We actually need them to come for more because people were looking for them earlier in the day. So that's definitely in our notes for next year. In thinking about resilience, our keynote speaker was Dr. Kenneth Ginsberg, and he came to us from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And his message was powerful, not just as a teacher, but also as a parent. And I know that many of you were able to attend and heard his message, which was really around supporting children and coping with stress and perfectionism, which is a message that I know that we're taking to heart and learning a lot about. And on our feedback out the door, that was a definite trend that we heard a lot of teachers said that that was something that they were thinking about and that they wanted to learn more about it for sure. We also spent some time hearing from our fabulous marching band. We got a preview of the Autumn Fanfare and some student performers as well. And the end of our day focused on wellness, and this was a change in our schedule from years previous because our wellness sessions, mindfulness sessions, often got filled up first, and so there were people that were very worried that they wanted opportunities to be able to learn more about mindfulness. So we restructured the day so that the afternoon was completely focused on that for everybody across our district to do something connected to wellness or mindfulness that was interesting to them. So they got to do things such as scuba diving, meditation, yoga, art, book clubs, and it was a great way to end the day. We ended with a survey, a ticket out the door in our usual way, and we're happy to report that 95% of our staff said that this was on target and relevant for their needs. We're looking forward to next year and just, keeping it lively and changing it up each year. So thanks. And now Kate will share a little bit about Flip.
Thanks, Melissa. And so in the spirit of the Teachers Teach Teachers model that's now in its 4th year, as you heard, and Brian mentioned earlier, last year we really made a great effort towards also growing and improving the professional learning that teachers engage in on a daily basis. Even every day throughout the year beyond that amazing Superintendent's Conference Day that we get to kind of kick the year off with in October. And so much of that became known as our flexible learning plans, or FLIP. This was something that last year, through a waiver to the contract with the WTA and the district, we were able to repurpose some meetings, some department meetings and faculty meetings, curriculum meetings, and allow for teachers to have the opportunity to really self-design and create a professional learning plan for themselves that they knew would be meaningful for them. And that became our FLIP model. Teachers have 10 hours of professional learning that they complete in the year through this model. And last year being our first year, we were happy to see that there was really a diverse way that people went about tackling this challenge. Some teachers volunteered to teach their colleagues about strategies, techniques, programs, and things that they had found success with their students in their classrooms, and they offered that learning to their colleagues. We also had several of our teachers on special assignment, instructional specialists, offer professional learning throughout the year through the FLIP model, as well as our administrators. We had teachers attend opportunities from outside agencies and educational groups, and even some teachers who have started to dip into some exciting online opportunities through this model. So many different ways that people went about that last year. And as Brian was mentioning earlier about the strategic survey that we've given in the past, this is some of the data from the question that elicited some information from our staff around professional learning's relevance in past years. And so as Brian had mentioned, that had been in the range of 56 to 70% of teachers who agreed or strongly agreed that the district provided relevant and on-target learning. And one of our hopes was that the FLIP model would allow for teachers to really access some very relevant professional learning. So we were pleased to share with you that at the end of the year, we surveyed the staff again and asked them some specific kind of targeted question around whether the FLIP model provided the opportunity to access relevant learning. And that ended up being, a 98% of our staff really agreed that this was a model that met that need that we had sought to address. And we hope that with this, with that information that we gathered together last spring, it really gave us the momentum to renew that program for this year. And again, teachers will have the 10 hours that they will have the opportunity to design for this school year, and we hope that will continue into the future as well. Another program that we'd like to highlight for you tonight is an ongoing program that we've had here in Webster for a number of years, and that's our Creative Collaborations Action Research projects. And so these projects involve teams of teachers working collaboratively together around a practice or something that they would like to improve and learn about together, something that they agree to learn about and then implement in their classrooms, come back together to reflect upon, and then identify next steps. So really taking on that action research cycle throughout the year. And we have 40 teams this year that are participating in this kind of a project, lots of different topics. And something new that we've added to enhance the experience of the action research teams is our peer learning lab model. And so each team this year will actually have the opportunity to engage in a peer learning lab. You can go to the next one. And we wanted to share a little bit with you about what that is. You see the pineapple on the screen, and so that's actually a symbol. It's sort of the international symbol for hospitality, and signifies how now we are embedding an opportunity for teachers to visit one another in their classroom while they are actually working with students as an sort of an offshoot of this Creative Collaborations Action Research endeavor. And it has 4 parts to it, so just kind of go through each of those. The first being the pre-brief conversation that in that small group, one teacher will volunteer to be the host, and they will invite the other teachers to have a conversation about the lesson, the practice that they're going to go in and observe, and they'll sort of set up what will be seen during the lesson observation. That's the first part. And then the second part is the observation itself. So the small group of teachers will go into the host teacher's classroom, take some notes about what they see, what they notice the teacher doing, what they notice the students doing, and really it's a learning opportunity for them to take away some things from the classroom observation. Next is the debrief, so the third part, when the teachers come back together after the lesson, and this is actually facilitated by another teacher that's outside of the group. We have some teacher leaders that have been trained to do this facilitation. They talk about what they noticed and what they've learned, and they really identify some next steps in that 4th phase of outcomes where they as a group can go further with their professional learning together. I want to give a shout out to Carm because he was actually instrumental in sort of putting the challenge out to us to consider this peer learning lab structure last summer. And it was just such an exciting thing for us to take on to really move that professional learning from a conversation about teaching, kind of in the abstract or in the reflective, to really grounded in actual work with students. And so it's been really exciting to see that take off. Along the same lines has been another opportunity for teachers to observe each other in the classroom through learning walks. And so very similar to a peer learning lab, but a little bit more open-ended. And all of our secondary buildings have engaged in learning walks in one shape or another, when teachers are going around and seeing other teachers teach and taking away from that some next steps in application for their own practice. Really the idea of just deprivatizing that teaching from closed door, behind my door with my students, to something that's more open and that I can share with my colleagues and I can talk about with my colleagues, grounded in true practice. All right, and I'll turn it over to Greg to talk about mentoring and induction.
So I'm going to tackle just 2 pieces. The mentoring and induction program that we have kind of re-envisioned this year. And then secondly, also want to leave a little bit of time to talk about the administrative leadership that we're also providing some support for in very deliberate ways. So those are the 2 pieces I want to talk about. But let me start with a quick story that email that came to me this afternoon. The timing was incredibly fortuitous. A elementary principal actually emailed and said, I just recently got finished a formal observation with a new teacher, and the series that unfolded we thought was worth kind of sharing. And so they had targeted one piece out of the observation that needed to be worked on with this new teacher. New teacher went and spoke to their mentor. The mentor then had another conversation in one of our mentor meetings that I'll mention in just a minute, and 2 mentors started talking and actually realized that there was a very similar need. They engaged another colleague who was involved in another kind of support program, and now all 4 of them are excited, have a plan, and have engaged another teacher to meet those needs. And so it was just a wonderful kind of illustration of the way that this program is kind of working. He made 3 points that I want to just share really quickly. One, he said, the mentors and new teachers are actively thinking about how to learn from others in the classroom setting, which I think is a really important point, that we're learning from each other. Secondly, the culture and mindset that's being cultivated is clearly one where the participants are being active in their own learning and not passive. And then thirdly, that there's opportunities for mentors to collaborate and cross-pollinate, which led to conversations between new teachers. And I think those principles that are highlighted here for the induction program and this mentoring are exactly the kind of principles that we have been trying to hardwire and that are the goals that we've established, kind of that opening practice, kind of encouraging collaboration and conversations and learning from each other and really kind of empowering teachers to take control of their own learning. So let me kind of unpack that just a little bit from a program perspective. So the induction program is a brand new one this year in the sense that we've always had a mentoring and new teacher orientation, but we haven't had an induction program. And the difference is kind of a one and done shot for an orientation program, an induction program which is built over 2 to 4 years of support. And so trying to see and support those teachers there's many statistics that taught about the attrition rate of new teachers, which is just horrendous. And we are absolutely committed to supporting and empowering those new teachers through this program. And so it's about a deliberate and strategic support that we're engaging. And the other piece that I want to talk about just about support and making it is we're also being very intentional about setting up meetings and conversations between building administrative staff, the mentor, and the new teacher. And those that we've set up 4 quarterly meetings between them, and we think we've got the right triangle of support when those 3 are kind of communicating, and then also the other administrative staff that are there to support. And that is kind of, it's that foundation of communication and support that we think has been fundamentally in helping to move some of this forward. You can kind of note there's a nice picture from the summer in our orientation, and some of you were actually there, and Carm's a nice front and center, and then I'm noticing he's pretty tan in that one too. So that's kind of nice. That's nice, yeah. We built the orientation program around a whole number of pieces, not the least of which was making sure that new teachers kind of understood the district vision, gave them tools to unpack that. We actually spent quite a bit of time actually talking about instructional practice, and also talked about priorities that are important to the district and that we also felt was going to be helpful and empowering to these new teachers, like mindfulness and mindset. And the second piece that we made a deliberate choice to focus on was empowering our mentors. And that is a new choice because traditionally our orientation program has kind of focused almost exclusively just on new teachers. And we decided to put a stake in the ground and support and empower the mentors who would then have the direct line of support on a daily basis with those new teachers. So you can see that we kind of were very deliberate and kind of made an application process and kind of did a nice screening and made sure that we had the right kinds of people that were going to be working as mentors, and actually created a one day in the summer for mentors. And that was a brand new program, brought them together, and it was hugely successful from the feedback that we had. But it's also about those quarterly mentor forums. And that is what that principle was referring to, where mentors had a chance and an opportunity to talk to other mentors. And so that was a chance for us to kind of do some training, equipping, but also leaving some space to process and debrief. And I think we've seen some of the fruit of some of those endeavors as well. The other piece that we have focused on with those mentors is not simply a mentor role, but we've actually carefully defined it more as a mentor coaching role. So that it's not just about a conversation, but it's actually deliberately targeting instructional practice. So we put the expectation that the mentors are going to be going into those classrooms. And I think this is another extension of kind of what Kate was talking about with this deprivatizing of our practice in the classroom, that we don't just stay inside the 4 walls, but that the best way to improve our instructional practice is actually to observe one another and then to give positive, specific, helpful feedback. And so that was a lot of what our training was with those mentor coaches. How do we do that? In what context? And how can we kind of spur and encourage these teachers on? And then you can see that our next photo here is just from that mentor coaching, and we did ground it ultimately in the 3 R's from the summer from the summer admin retreat that Carm kind of laid out as our vision and laid out on opening day about relationships and resiliency and reflection. And the final piece that I just want to put into play here, just briefly mentioning it, is that we're also trying to support, empower, and equip our administrative leadership, as well as teachers on special assignment. So trying to support the leaders who are leading. And so one of the ways that we've done that is kind of creating, we have a vision for a multi-year support plan with them. And I think one of the really interesting pieces of this program is that we created mixed cohorts. And what I mean by that is we had elementary leaders, middle school leaders, high school leaders, district leaders, teachers on special assignment, as well as building principals and assistant principals, and they were all in mixed job groupings. And we actually met in those buildings, and some of the best comments that I heard were high school teachers that were saying, "I've never been in an elementary school." And one of the really important parts, one of the foundational elements that we built in it was actually learning walks. Once again, so again, about the fourth or fifth time that you've heard. And we took these learning walks around the buildings together in these mixed job groupings, and then also spent some time deliberately kind of thinking about a couple of different focus points, like learner agency, like providing feedback, and then resiliency. And all of that learning that we did throughout last year, there are 3 different times those cohorts met, was kind of extended into the summer. And that was the extension of the summer retreat. And those are also continuing then again into this year. So thinking strategically about how we can build that support, how we can get administrators into each other's buildings, and then also build on the best practice and the power and of collaboration, not just in a teacher sense, but then also in administrators.
Okay, and so that ends our report for tonight, but we're open to questions and comments.
Thank you very much. Maria and Mike, I'm sure your minds are just going a mile a minute, and you might have something to say.
I want to work again. I went to the TTT, and it was amazing. Never experienced anything like that in my entire career. So it was wonderful. So thank you. Thank you.
Jan, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I'm just pleased with everything I've heard, and I was sitting here thinking with, my long years of experience in the background, thinking of everything you said. I think so many people in the past informally knew that that's what new teachers needed and people needed and tried to do it, but you've taken all those informal thoughts and put such a nice paradigm so that it all fits together and no one's being left out, I guess is what I think.
Thanks, Jan. Actually, Jan, I'm going to step in just right there because I didn't want to leave it out. This is my fault. I apologize on my opening. We have with us tonight, too, Daria Perazzi is out in the audience, and she's just been a huge support for us in our Professional Learning Center, and she's new to us this year, but she's been amazing. So shout out to Daria and all of our team that supports all this work. So thanks, Jan.
You. Yep.
I just want to say I'm really impressed, and I'm really pleased that the information taken from the strategic planning survey, it's looked at, it's meaningful and it's actionable, and I mean that's the whole point. So it's it's working, and it did make me think. There's been a lot certainly in the press or in board reading, and also what you mentioned tonight. Might be good to add a metric to our strategic planning information of a 5-year retention rate.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Because it's a really good measurable and something that we certainly
Eric, did
not
you note
with
that?
You here we're going to lose. Not that we're ever going to lose that, but it's just something. It's an important indicator that if you got busy doing something else, you just don't want to forget that kind of thing. So, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you not only for your deep thinking and thoughtful approach to all of this, but how you've been able to actualize and put it into practice in a way that encompasses everybody. It's wonderful. Great energy around it. Thank you.
I'll echo that same comment. Thank you very much. It's amazing to build those relationships. When you have those relationships in the buildings, then the students want to learn, and it's very infectious. So thank you very much.
Continuous improvement is our second core belief. And I think it was obvious from your presentation through the peer learning labs, the walks, that continuous improvement is happening in the classroom, which then directly relates to our first core belief, which is putting our students first. So it's wonderful. The pineapple picture reminded me of an opening day speech that was delivered. And I'm hoping that we never forget something that the art and science of teaching. And I hope you stress the art more than you do the science. And I'd also ask that if you really want to enrich this program, you consider a resource that has not been considered yet, and that is your very good retired teachers who have the time to spend with the teachers. So thank you. It was a great report.
Thank you so much for being here for this presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much, and thanks, team.
And next on our agenda is Carmen's superintendent's report.
Yeah. You're good? Nope. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You good? Okay.
Motion to. We need to back up a second. Can we please have a motion to accept this report as presented? By Maria, second by Jan. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And Carmen.
Okay, thank you. So, first of all, I want to say to Bethany, thank you so much for coming tonight. I can't see you, but thank you so much for coming tonight. And I know that Mr. Wall, Larry Wall, had touch base with you before the meeting even started. But please know, if you ever have any questions or if you want to sit again and talk with Larry and or I, all you need to do is just reach out either by email or give my office a call. Okay? All right. Thank you. So I'd like to begin my report by thanking the people around this table tonight. Our Board of Education members who volunteer their time. And last week was the official New York State School Board Association's Board Recognition Week that culminated in the NYSBA conference down in New York City, where several of us, Mr. Neenan and I and Miss Ebert, as well as Jan Streggy and Dave Metzger, we got together to learn from each other, as well as other school administrators and board members from across the state. And obviously everyone around this table are exemplars of people who deeply care about our students and public education. So thank you to Tammy and Linda and Jan and Mike and Sue and Maria and Dave for the gifts of your time and your energy. Our board members are your Webster neighbors, elected by the community to serve in these volunteer positions. And as volunteers, they further the vision of our district every day in all that they do. Together, we are compassionately connected, joyfully engaged, and always learning. And their years of experience in their chosen professional fields, and there is close to, if I did my math correctly, close to 200 years of experience either on boards or within your educational fields. But your years of experience have provided a perspective that has proven invaluable for our students, our faculty, our staff, and all of the members of our One Webster community. So thank you, everyone. I'm fortunate to work alongside each of you as we plan for the future of our district. And as many of you know, there are two members of the board that taught me reading in second grade and reading in eighth grade. And that's right. And it's still hard for me to call them by their first names. And Suffy still scares me. So speaking of planning for the future, I'd like to remind our community to visit our district website, websterschools.org, to find out more about the proposed capital improvement project. This $69.5 million project is focused on 3 areas: community wellness, safety and security, and infrastructure integrity. And it will be up for a community-wide vote on Tuesday, December 11th at the Schrader High School gym from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And I hope you take a minute to visit our site, watch our videos, and learn more about this proposed initiative. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Carmen. And also thank you to the district for, we were given pies by Leo's Bakery as a board recognition gift. So it's a gift that gives back. I think that benefited, it was from Schlegel PTSA in their pie sale. So our families will appreciate that gift as well. So thank you. And next on the agenda, we'll hear some new board business from Brian.
Sure.
Tax certiorari case.
So the first thing, my first report for you tonight is just to kind of update. Every year we go through this and give the board all the tax certiorari cases. Yep, and this is the part of the evening where everybody clears out when I start presenting.
You need to bring pie.
Yeah. So this is every summer and fall we have new petitions, old petitions on claims for assessment. So what I've created for you is just an overview of all the ones that we have received to date. Some of these are repeats over many years. Some go back 3, 4, 5 years as well. So you see some larger totals there. Just what is the potential exposure if the district was to do nothing with these cases and not intercede? You see the total amount of about $3.2 million right there of refunds that the district is possibly exposed to. And I've matched that against currently what we have in our tax statutory reserve of 2.8. So you can see there is a little difference. This is why we intercede. So there isn't that, $1 to $1. And last board meeting, you saw how we came to an agreement with one of the tax statutory cases, which was for significantly less than what was the potential liability. So we intercede in all these cases. So that's the first part on the tax statutory cases. Any questions on those?
Do you think we need to have more in reserve?
I think it's beneficial with the amount that we see and going back how many years. We have a couple new ones this year. And I think with a large corporation inside our boundaries, it was always prudent to kind of look into the future because we've had some previous history as well that we've settled. So always kind of planning for that, even though they don't show up on this list right now.
Would that be easy to do to move more into it, or?
Yeah, we could always look at that at the end of the year.
At the end of the year.
Yep, when we look at our reserves and where funding is and where everything is aligned, talk to our auditors and see where the need is.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then the second
then-
part, is
okay.
the small claims decisions. These are the ones that really bog down the office year to year. These come in fast and furious. This is actually a very surprising year because normally we have about 60 to 100 of these. And we are significantly smaller this year on the small claims adjustment reviews. One of the things I think that impacted us on that is several towns around Monroe County had a reassessment, reeval, and so a lot of the tax attorneys that specialize in this area put their focus into those towns and forgot about us for a year.
These are ones that are brought to the town, and this is our.
Correct. We don't intercede in these
Okay,
small
we don't
claims.
intercede.
Nope. It goes to a.
So they aren't coming directly to us?
Nope. We
directly
either
to
do
town.
depending on the timing of them,
Yeah.
we either do an amended tax bill or a small refund, or in some cases, they're neutral. They'll petition for a lower assessment on their house, and it'll be adjudicated that, nope, it's staying the same.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the resolution regarding health and dental insurance for board members.
That's pretty
Speak to
straightforward.
that.
It's just a resolution to allow board members to be partaking in our plans at 100% of the cost. It's just codifying what is currently state law, something that we've never done, and it kind of came out of looking at our policies and seeing what's out there, and something we wanted just to.
That's where it came from.
To add.
Well, we'll be having policy.
Yes,
A recommendation at our next.
No.
Okay, we get.
And moving on to the treasurer's report.
So I'll make a motion.
Okay. To accept the resolution.
Yes, to accept the resolution.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. August treasurer's report. I just want to point out a couple things. If you did a comparison between the 2 years, you're going to notice two things. August is always our lowest balance month. It is our lowest cash flow month because we're paying summer bills, we're getting wrapped up, we're buying a lot of stuff, and we have no money coming in. So August is the month where we rely on our savings to help pay us through. If you notice, go back a year, 2 years, why is this August significantly lower than previous months? We have been paying for our capital project using our savings to defer to only have to borrow money one time. So that's the benefit of having those reserves, having that cash on hand, is we're utilizing it, we're spending money to pay for that without having to borrow. A lot of districts that might not be in that situation would have had to borrow at the beginning of the summer, then they'd have to borrow again. They're paying attorney fees twice, they're paying the bank fees, the issuance fees twice. We're not soaking in those costs, but you see our balance is substantially lower than in previous years, and that's one of the main reasons.
Thank you. And can we have a motion, please, to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
In a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And are we going to talk a little bit about the budget?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Just a quick budget overview. I mean, it's weird. It feels like the year just started. So I just threw a quick information together for the board just to look at some salient points and dates that are in your packet and that are available. What we're expecting this year as far as state aid. We continue, if the formula was allowed to go, we're about $6.4 million short. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but that's the number for 18-19. What will the November election do? What will that change? A lot of what ifs, a lot of promises being made around the state right now. If I'm elected, this is what we're going to do. So how will that all play out as far as state aid for the budget? Hopefully, it could benefit some school funding. One of the biggest things that you'll probably see changing as far as this budget is we will now be going into our first year where we're required to have the per building breakdown and have to report that. So we've begun on the back end to kind of gear up for that. We have to report, we'll have probably 1,000 more budget codes because of it and what we'd have to report by building. So you'll see some probably changes in the way I present some things to make it easier for us to report and align with those new requirements. They still haven't, though, technically given a guidance document and exactly what it is. I think in the beginning of September, they did a listening tour around the state. We gave some feedback, and hopefully maybe by December, they'll give us something to kind of to go for. It's coming out of ESSA, but the state kind of preempted ESSA and moved the date up and made it a little bit more stringent, I guess would probably be the best way and when you compare the two.
So and will your
priority?
Oh, go ahead.
Federal or state?
State.
Right. Will your office take care of it, or will individual buildings have to?
I will.
It's going to be a lot of work for whoever does it.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit different for the buildings, for building the budget. Excuse me. But most of it will be on the way I kind of code everything and have it set up on the back end for easily reporting.
Sounds like a lot of work to me.
And then just looking at tax cap, we will be presenting that in February on the time frame. CPI is still trending above 2, so we'll probably get a full 2% in the formula. Remember our tax base growth factor, that's part of the formula, was the highest in the county last year. Probably continue to be somewhere around there. And just as a reminder, every 1% increase in the levy raises roughly $1 million for us. Still don't know what the pensions systems are going to do. That'll be coming out this month with their projections for ERS and TRS. Usually it's right around Thanksgiving. But we've had some strong market returns. We'll see what happens there. We had this surprising increase in TRS because they changed some of their structural. So we'll see what happens this year. And benefits were actually better news than in past. We'll probably be in the low single digits for increases in benefits going into 2019. RASH 2 has a significant amount of savings because we reorganized and now are no longer paying a huge sum of taxes associated with the Affordable Care Act because of that. And we're even seeing in our retiree plans some very small increases because Excelis is also benefiting from that. And that's where we get those plans from. So November is our kickoff for our zero-based budget. As we move forward, we'll start building that and really ramp up as the coming months come forward. Questions, anything?
Okay, thank you. And we'll continue to, as has been our practice, rotate through and have different board members attend each of the budget sessions, so everybody gets to be part of the process. Thank you, Brian. And on to NISBA and debrief. Jan, do you have anything you'd like to share with us about the conference?
Sure, just briefly, as Carm mentioned a week ago tonight, several of us went to the New York State School Board Association Conference, which was held in New York City, so it was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. For the board, it was Dave and myself who participated, and then Carm, Brian Neenan, and Erica Ebers were there. And this was the program. There were many choices, too many. You couldn't attend everything, but basically there was an opening session Thursday night. John Quinones, some of you may watch his TV program, What Would You Do? Wonderful keynote speaker on the challenge of doing the right thing. Very informative, very good. And then there were many, many small, what they called educational sessions, and one of which certainly I should highlight was the star that I know, Carm and Erica Eberts, did a presentation on mindfulness, scientific superpower for resilience, and it was very, very well received. Some superintendent or school board tried to steal Erica at some point, made her an offer right during the presentation. And I heard good things about that afterwards. There were also large sessions, I'm not sure what they were called, featured sessions, and I went to the conversation with our commissioner, Mary Ellen Elia. I always like to hear her speak. I think we're fortunate to have her as commissioner. I always leave after listening to her feeling reassured that the state education is heading in the right direction and has slowly and yet appropriately made some corrections along the pathway in terms of testing and all kinds of other things. So that was good. Afterwards, I went to a more specific one, also from the state ed department, and it was Ira Schwartz, who's the assistant commissioner in charge of accountability, and I think people around the table, some of you already know him, implementing ESSA, which is Every Student Succeeds Act. And certainly the topic of accountability is going to be, and equity is going to be more of an issue for districts. I don't think it's going to be an issue for us at all, but they're trying to make sure that throughout the state, all schools have the same, that students have equitable access to effective teachers, I guess is what I want to say. And in coming years, I know Carm has already had some presentations on this. There's going to be more things on our report card besides just ELA and math, but we're going to have to account for absenteeism. We're going to have to look at suspensions. We're going to have to look at, we've already looked at graduation rate. Again, I go to these, I learn specific information, and I feel reassured that we're in a very fine place. And if the schools aren't, if there are schools in the district, in the state that aren't in a fine place, I think these new changes will help them. So Dave wasn't able to be here tonight. I asked him if there was anything. He went to some different sessions, and he was very impressed, I know, with one on homelessness, as so many students in our state that experience that, and he went to another one that he liked, and he just said he wanted to share that it was a great opportunity to hear all these different presentations. I guess that's what I'd like to say. I don't know. You have anything you want to add?
You summed it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, glad you got to be there and experience all that.
This was my first one, and I should say I was also the voting delegate, and I know that's going to lead right into legislation. There were 20 resolutions that were put up, and 19 of which passed. There was some passed right away, and some had lots of active conversations, and I would say there were amendments to most of them, which was interesting to fine-tune them, I guess I would say. But from those resolutions will be the work that people take to Albany to try to convince our legislators on what they can do to improve education. So I think it was good work to do.
Yes, thank you for representing us as our delegate.
Was Rosalie Petrillo there, or I don't remember her name?
Yes.
It's this woman, she comes to all of them, and she's always the voting delegate, and she's from like Orange County or something.
Yes, I recognize that name. Yes.
You know, she comes up to this
to the microphone, and she just
yep, and she's there every year. That's pretty funny. You know exactly
I knew exactly who you meant.
So next year our conference in Rochester. It's the 100th
anniversary.
So hopefully we'll all be able to attend.
Right.
And maybe we can present on either start time. Or,
I guess
or mindfulness.
Lots of things we could
probably policy. Yes.
Policy. Lots of things we could present on. Actually, that's one more comment I will add. I went to this great smaller session, educational session, and actually they were very, as Mike had told us, fussy about seating. If it said 41, they didn't let 42 people in. And both Carm and I wanted to go to it, and he was kind enough to let me go ahead. But it was, thank you. It was fascinating. It was a district that 51% of their student body is disadvantaged, free and reduced lunch, and they had come up with a plan for how to put more play and unusual activities into their elementary day by making their day a 9-period day in elementary and putting in 2 specials per day. One's your classic specials, art, music, whatever, and one were these, unique. Some were supportive activities, some were mental health activities, just communication. They had gotten a trailer and put it out on their property and had it decorated, and they would have imaginative play out there. They had a TA out there in different groups, and you got assigned in this 6-period day. Whereas their specialists, like their literary specialists and their math, worked on a 5-period day. So these people got to go into a classroom and provide kids who probably don't get to hear, a famous Caldecott book or read by one of the reading teachers and interact. So very unusual things that were beneficial for the social emotional. But in the process, I came out and thought, oh, there were so many wonderful things about that. But I also thought, gosh, we are so far ahead of so many different groups that I hear talking. People talking about we needed to find a way to give our teachers time for collaboration, and I'm thinking, oh my, years ago we did our PLCs and all that. So I came away, as I've done in previous conference, feeling like Webster's in such a good place, I guess I'd say.
Yes, a very gratifying feeling.
It is a
Thank you.
gratifying feeling,
Yes. So we look forward to next year.
Yeah.
As all the plans unfold. And now moving on to board reports, school liaison reports. Maria, would you like to start?
Sure. We held our meeting on October 15th. The DeWitt Road Carnival held for the students was a huge success. It was not a fundraiser, it was just for the kids. Almost 300 kids attended, yeah. The DeWitt Dash Health Minded fundraiser was held on October 16th and was a great success. DeWitt's students exceeded their goal of $20,000 for their outdoor classroom. Yesterday was the DeWitt Celebration of Fall Parade. It was amazing. The parade was followed by a very positive welcome by Mr. Schichtel, and he focused on setting great examples in our community and reminding and encouraging the kids to practice Webster's character traits. A Webster resource officer, Kevin Johnson, then talked about Halloween safety, and a great musical performance by the DeWitt Road Chorus led by Mr. Al Heery, which included solos by the students. The DeWitt Cares Beyond Our Doors annual event is beginning, which is an event for students and their families to work together as a community to collect and assemble supplies that will be donated to various organizations in our community for people in need. And this is not DeWitt, so can I say it anyway, or? Okay.
Absolutely.
I had the pleasure of going into Mrs. Curry's classroom a few times over the past few weeks as they embarked on a Shark Tank project, which I heard of Shark Tank, but I didn't know what it was. And the kids were to choose ideas, inventions, products, or come up with their own. And then they received instruction on how to use the SPRI databases by Mrs. Wendy Sardella. And then it was culminated by the students presenting their projects to the class. Kids included, the judges were called sharks, and they were the classroom kids who evaluated them. I was in awe of how much the kids loved it. They shared their ideas, they collaborated, they compromised, and then one of the groups did computers, and I have to share this with the board. One of the sharks then raised her hand and expressed great gratitude on behalf of herself and fellow students for being very grateful to Webster for providing Chromebooks for students to use as tools because they've used them so much and so well. This was a superb example of personalized learning. It was amazing. It really was. Thanks, that's it.
Excellent, thank you so much. And Jan?
I was at the Clem North PTSA on October 15th, and again, they have good support there, but I was pleased. I thought after the first meeting, maybe we wouldn't have as many people. There were probably about 25. The upcoming highlights right now is that their book fair started tonight and will go for 1 week. So there was a lot of kind of preparatory work for that. November 7th is second grade roller skating. They had some last month, so they're into the roller skating. And movie night is November 16th. And part of the discussion on fundraising was they've decided they're going to purchase a popcorn machine because they rent it so often during the year, not so often, but like movie night, the dance, they rent it 3-4 times, and I was pretty shocked to find out the rental cost is pretty high, and they think in the long run it would be better. So there was a lot of conversation about renting versus buying a popcorn machine, but I think they're going to buy.
They could rent it to others.
Right.
Yeah, and then they can
Make
rent it
popcorn
out
for
and
them.
At least.
Oh, okay. I will. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Sue?
Yes, this, Schlegel Road, by the way. This Saturday is their annual craft fair. It's been going on for several years. It's gotten quite large, and there's a lot of nice things there, so I would suggest going if you have time.
It's beautiful. In past years, it's wonderful.
Their next PTSA meeting is November 13th. Schlegel Road does it every other month, so we haven't had a meeting in a little while. And this meeting is going to be at 6 o'clock. They try to change the time so different people can go. And see, the students and teachers are participating in Operation Gratitude, and they're writing letters and making bookmarks for our folks overseas in the service.
Oh, nice.
And they're doing a Leo's Bakery fundraiser, pies for the holidays, which we get to benefit from.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. State Road, memberships are up. All their committees are well underway. The Fall Book Fair is November 6th through the 8th with a family event on the 7th at 6 p.m. The next regular meeting is on the 13th of November, and a special capital project meeting has been scheduled on the 20th so that Brian has offered to come in and talk to parents and answer any questions one-on-one or in a small group that they may have. So people are looking forward to that as well.
Brian's making his rounds because he'll be at Plank South on November 7th at 6:30 to speak with their PTSA. Their meeting was on the 15th, and they had 20 people, so that there's a lot more participation this year, so that was really, yeah, it's been really great. They have a book fair coming up November 13th to 15th, and their open house is on the 15th. And School 17 gift giving has started, and they've identified families to donate gifts to the kids over at School 17. And they had trunk or treat this past weekend with Plank North, and it was the first time in 3 years it didn't rain, so it was a success. It was cold, but chilly. Yeah. And Mike and I, just a shout out to the Prism concert. We were both there. I actually went to the one on Tuesday as well. They're awesome. The talent is incredible. It really was worth going to, so it was great at Schrader.
Wonderful. Thank you.
This Friday at Clem South, they have their VIP dance. The kids are all excited to bring their important person to school for a fun night. Recently, Mrs. End and Mr. McAdams had lunch with students who have consistently showed the essential skill of time management, and these lunches are filled with some great advice from the students. On the academic side, the students in homeroom have been working on how to have a mindful body, and the kindergartners are learning how to use their breath to prepare them for learning. On Wednesday, November 14th, is their next scheduled PTSA meeting. On the middle school level, the 8th grade trip to Washington takes place next week. And on Monday, November 5th, on the high school level, there is a scheduled coffee with the Schrader administrators set for 7 p.m. And going along with Maria, I would like to thank Mrs. Powers, who is a 6th grade teacher at Willing, for allowing us to see the breakout box lesson. And if you haven't seen this, it is worth seeing, because I think every core value is put into action there. And I actually think the board should try a breakout box lesson.
Sure. At Willink, they had their annual We Willink Halloween on a week ago Wednesday, and there were so many kids there that were helping the children, and their interactions were incredible. It's for preschoolers only, but 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students did a remarkable job with the kids. They really did.
Excellent, excellent. Linda and I attended the Central PTSA meeting, and Joe Montemero presented on digital citizenship, so we look forward to learning more about that. And the next meeting is Tuesday. We plan on attending that as well. And we have had a couple conflicts with PTSA meetings and our meetings. Was it
Schrader a couple times. The
and
Schrader meetings
cancellation?
were having a hard
So we're trying to get everywhere, and appreciate everybody attending.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to Monroe County School Board Association reports. Legislative, I know, Jan, you spoke to so much of that for the conference.
Already, but
Date?
we met, and Mike, of course, was there too, in November, October, well, it doesn't matter really, 3rd. And we went through the legislative priorities for 2018-19. We also looked at the position papers. I think you've seen that draft on keeping our schools safe and secure, and we've got a revised draft. And then the other one, which was approved, is supporting emotional well-being of students. And then
By steering. They've both been approved by steering. They're going to executive next.
they'll go into executive. The other things that they're looking at certainly are the same topics we're all concerned with: the ESSA implementation, APPBR, full funding of educational formula, and specific streams of money for mandates such as mental health, and developing and maintaining legislative relationships and changing political landscape. And then the rest of the meeting was devoted to going through the resolutions, because these people were going on to New York City, and they had met in Canandaigua, had talked through the support or non-supportive positions, and it was very beneficial for me to be at this legislative meeting before I went to New York, I would say. Anything else, Mike, you think we should add?
Just remember that we have an Albany trip scheduled for Monday, December 10th.
December 10th.
And I would encourage, if you have the time and opportunity to go, and I would tell you, you don't have to speak, just be there. Having 20 people walk into a particular office, and there'll be, the Monroe County School Boards Association will have a lead speaker, and it's just nice to have numbers there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can put it on your calendar, please do.
And labor relations, Linda, do you have any update?
Yeah, we were there this last Wednesday, and the discussion was on understanding the Janus decision and Taylor law and what that means in upcoming negotiations with unions. So that was really good. The next one will be the end of the month, November 28th, and it's going to be on field trips. So, Maria, if you're around and you want to come with
I'll look,
us,
yeah.
would be good.
Bring your grandkids as a field trip.
Say it again.
Bring your grandkids. It'll be a field trip.
I don't think you'd want my grandson there right now because he's like all over the place. He just learned to walk. So.
And for information exchange, October 17th, we had a meeting on safety and security. It was moved later in the day so that more people could attend. Neil Flood presented, as well as campus construction, and Todd Baxter from the Monroe County Sheriff Department. It was an excellent presentation. It's on the website in case anyone's interested.
Did anyone try it?
To click through.
Right, because what was on the Monroe County website, how do I explain this? It didn't match up. So we had 4 different parts, and I was speaking with Becky today, and we made sure we kind of hooked it up. So if you tried to look at it previous, it wasn't going to work. It works now. And if you need to, I think I sent you the passwords, didn't I? Yeah, okay. Yeah, everything's working now.
Good.
Including going all the way back to October of 16, talking about start times. You can check that one out too. Since 2016, they've been taped. Yep.
And the next information exchange is November 14th at noon at the Doubletree. If anybody wants to attend, you're always all welcome. Defending your district against attacks on social media. So that should be interesting. And then there's also interest in possibly changing the April meeting to talk about JUUL, J-U-U-L, instead of mental health, and moving mental health till fall of 19. So I don't know if anybody has any opinions about that one way or another, but email me and we'll relay that to Monroe County. And executive committee?
Our next executive committee meeting is December 5th, just before the Albany trip, so we'll be doing finishing touches for that trip. Incidentally, on November 15th, there is a clerk conference, and this is more for Cindy. We are trying to put together a dramatic showing of a mock board meeting with everything goes wrong, so how clerks can help out. I'll do a very good job at messing things up.
Thank you. And on to standing district committees. Audit committee, Mike or Sue? I think you're all set for
We
a
met,
while. Yeah.
really have nothing to report until our next meeting.
Next meeting will probably be in January once extracurricular audit is done.
Thank you. And policy.
Yes, we had our first meeting today.
It was wonderful.
It was wonderful. We got a lot done. We're going to have a lot of time to talk about a lot of good policies and talk about students this year. So
Excellent.
we'll be having a first read on the 6th of December. I'll do the minutes and send it all to you, Cindy, so we're all set.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to that.
Yes, I know you will.
Yes. So budget, we've touched on that. Strategic planning, you know, we've got a meeting coming up. Do you want to add anything further?
No.
Okay.
A brief meeting on November 15th at 5:30.
which might be changed, but that's okay. We might change the
Oh.
time a little bit.
Okay.
Tiny bit earlier.
Sure.
Maybe make it a little bit earlier. 4:45, is that what we were gonna ask? We're gonna move, something like that, we'll get to you guys.
Five. We'll get
I'm
something
trying-
up
I'm
tomorrow.
trying to
5
go to a
o'clock.
concert later that night, and so I need to move stuff back so I can hit strategic board meeting, concert.
Okay.
And, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, everyone's had a chance to review minutes, personnel actions, recommendations on special education, and on preschool special education, couple trip applications, and a couple bids. Can we have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second
So
by
moved.
Maria, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That concludes our business for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for all your contributions. Have a nice evening.